In a palace where silence often speaks louder than words, one whisper nearly changed a young royal's destiny. A quiet moment, a calculating look, and a princess's spirit hanging in the balance. This is the story of how Princess Charlotte nearly lost her light and how Princess Anne, with nothing but quiet strength, helped her shine again. It was a bright spring afternoon at Windsor Castle. A small royal charity lunch was underway, just another event on the calendar. Children's gardening was the theme. Fun, light, and meant to build community. But beneath the gentle sun and polished smiles, something darker stirred. Princess Catherine attended with her children Prince George, Prince Louis, and the 10-year-old Princess Charlotte. Usually confident and joyful, Charlotte appeared unusually quiet that day. Pale. Reserved. Also present was Queen Camilla, elegant, smiling, and newly titled as Vice Admiral of the UK Navy. But it wasn't her title that caught Princess Anne's attention. It was her behavior. As Charlotte stepped forward to rehearse a small speech, Camilla leaned in and whispered, "Try not to show off too much, dear." It wasn't advice, it was dismissal, wrapped in civility. Princess Anne's heart dropped. She saw it the moment Charlotte's confidence shattered. The bouquet trembled in her small hands. Her smile faded. Anne knew this wasn't an accident. It was a quiet strike. And so, without fanfare or fuss, she knelt beside her great niece and whispered, "You're doing beautifully." Her voice calm. Her soul on fire. After the speech, Charlotte tried her best to hold back tears. The crowd clapped. Cameras clicked. But Anne saw the truth, the sparkle in Charlotte's eyes had dimmed. She led the young princess to the rose garden, her own refuge. There, in hushed tones, Charlotte confessed, "Granny Camilla told me not to act like I'm better than anyone." Anne was stunned. She'd heard whispers before about Camilla's coldness behind palace walls. About her subtle power plays. But this, targeting a child, was beyond excusable. And assured Charlotte she had done nothing wrong. "You were perfect," she said, her voice cracking. She remembered being a child in the spotlight herself, expected to be graceful, emotionless, perfect. But Anne had fought her battles. Competed in the Olympics. Earned her place. She wouldn't let Charlotte fight alone. Next came the formal ceremony. Charlotte was to present a bouquet and speak. But something felt off again, the bouquet was oversized. The microphone, oddly faint. Anne watched Camilla closely. Smiling, yes. But her eyes were sharp. Suddenly, Charlotte's voice wavered. The mic dropped to near silence. Camilla's smile widened. But Anne had prepared a backup, an invisible mic switch. Charlotte's voice suddenly rang clear and strong, "We help our gardens grow, and we help people grow too." A moment meant to humiliate became a moment of triumph. Camilla's plan had failed. Anne's subtle intervention had protected her. Later that evening, at Adelaide Cottage, Charlotte looked calm again. But Anne and Catherine remained watchful. They quietly told Prince William what had happened. He was upset. This wasn't just poor etiquette. It felt targeted. Anne, always measured, suggested they observe Camilla's expressions in public photos. Subtle patterns often tell louder stories. The next morning, when Charlotte asked to attend another of Camilla's events, Catherine gently said no. Charlotte nodded. She understood more than she said. And handed Catherine a tiny flower and whispered, "For Charlotte, to remind her that even small voices matter." A few days later at Highgrove House, the family gathered for dinner. Charlotte greeted Camilla with a gentle, "Good evening, Granny." Camilla replied coldly, "Are you sure you're not too tired?" It stung. Anne and Catherine both noticed. The tension in the room grew heavy. But Anne stayed beside Charlotte all night, her quiet presence, a shield. That evening, Anne wrote a letter. She documented Camilla's words, the mic issue, the patterns. Not to gossip. But to protect. These weren't coincidences. This was control, subtle, but real. That summer at Balmoral, Charlotte laughed again, pony rides, berry picking, nature walks. But when Camilla whispered during a walk, "You should listen more when grown-ups are speaking," and had had enough. She took Camilla aside, "Real guidance is gentle." That wasn't. No apology came. But a wall had been built. Later, Charlotte read a poem aloud to the family, "We grow together." And cried softly. Not from sadness, but pride. Charlotte's spirit was blooming again. Back in Windsor, Charlotte asked Anne why Camilla didn't like her. Anne was heartbroken, but honest. Sometimes grown-ups forget how special children are. But you are deeply loved. That night, Anne called William. She told him everything. A quiet family meeting followed, no media, no flash. William, Catherine, Charles, Av, and finally, Camila. And spoke, "This isn't about feelings. It's about Charlotte's place in this family." Catherine added, "Children remember everything." Camila admitted she'd been too firm. Charles reminded them the family had endured enough pain. And finished, "We can disagree, but not at the cost of a child's peace." From that day forward, Camila changed. Slowly, quietly. Charlotte noticed. One day at school, Charlotte wrote an essay about someone she admired. She chose Princess Anne. "She makes me feel strong. She listens when I'm sad. She's like a hero." When Anne read it, she cried again. Not for attention, but because Charlotte felt safe again. At the next royal portrait session, Charlotte stood proudly in the front row holding Anne's hand. Camila smiled warmly at her. Even George noticed. "You seem braver now," he said. Charlotte replied, "Anton taught me how." In the months that followed, things shifted. Camila softened. She asked Charlotte about her hobbies. Gave her space when needed. Charlotte even made her a card, "Thank you for being nicer." Camila hugged her gently. And visited more often. They read books. Took walks. Rode horses. Charlotte helped her little brother with puzzles. Spoke kindly. Smiled freely. She had healed. Not because someone shouted, but because someone listened. Behind every royal title is a child, a heart, a hope. Princess Anne showed us that courage doesn't always roar, it sometimes kneels, whispers, and protects. If this story moved you, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more real stories from behind palace walls. Because sometimes, the most powerful moments are the quietest ones.